Hello everyone and welcome to Big Rock Moto. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Today I want to talk about one of the best upgrades you can do for your motorcycle, which is to replace your heavy and outdated OEM battery with a lightweight, high-tech, anti-gravity restart lithium-ion battery. Now, some disclaimers. Although I've been using anti-gravity batteries for years, even before I had a YouTube channel and before I had any relationship with the company, I do want to give you the disclaimer that this video is sponsored by anti-gravity batteries. I do receive the batteries for free, and I do earn a small commission if you use my affiliate links. All right, so I own 3 motorcycles. I'm fortunate to own 3 motorcycles. I have a KTM 350 EXC, I have an Aprilia Touareg 660, and I have a BMW R1250 GS Adventure. And as you can see here, I've got 3 battery boxes of anti-gravity batteries. And in fact, I've replaced the batteries in all of my personal motorcycles with anti-gravity restart lithium batteries. All right, so let's back up for a minute and talk about some of the potential pros and cons of the factory lead acid or flooded battery that you probably find in your motorcycle right now. So it's really heavy. So the first downside to the factory battery is it's just the weight of it. Compared to this, it's almost feather light compared to this battery here. The truth is that the motorcycle manufacturers, because they need to make as much profit as they can, they basically just put in the cheapest battery they can find. So a lead acid battery, it has acid in it that may be sealed, it may be an AGM battery, but typically it's going to be the heavy lead acid type battery as opposed to a lithium battery. Now, some of the newest motorcycles out there for sale, they have gone over to lithium batteries from the factory, but you don't see that too often. Another downside of the factory battery in your bike is that the capacity is really limited. Not only are you limited on your cold cranking amps or the cranking power that it has, so if you have a low battery and it's a cold morning, you've noticed that the bike can be a little bit difficult to start or the battery gets low. That's a disadvantage of these types of batteries. The other disadvantage to these batteries, if you do have one that is the traditional lead acid type, that battery acid can dry up and go away, and meaning that you have to refill that. So in hot or dry climates, you can have issues with those types of batteries. All right, so let's get into what are the advantages of a lithium battery for power sports uses, for motorcycles. So you might hear lithium ion, you might hear lithium iron. Actually, these batteries here, these anti-gravity batteries, are LiFePO4 or lithium iron phosphate. So it doesn't really matter for the purposes of this video the chemistry differences out there between different batteries, but in general we can call them lithium batteries. And you know they're lithium because they have more capacity and they're much lighter weight. So getting into the benefits, when you replace your factory battery with one of these batteries, you're going to have more cold cranking amps. So basically, if you have issues starting your bike or it's really cold, you can run the starter motor for much longer before you run out of juice on a battery like this than versus your stock battery. It's much less likely to be discharged to the point where you can't start your bike. And we'll talk about the cool restart feature here in a minute. Another advantage to a lithium battery is that you can discharge a lithium battery to a much greater percentage of its full capacity without damaging the battery. If you were to fully discharge a traditional flooded lead acid battery, you will damage the battery and reduce its lifespan greatly, if not just kill the battery completely right then. So you can use up the capacity of this type of battery, which is really great. So if you look at the capacity rating of a traditional lead battery, you have to cut that in half for its usable capacity. That's why not only for power sports these are popular, but in the RV industry, these have completely taken over because RV users who are running appliances can drain those batteries down without damaging them. Another potential advantage to the lithium battery, especially the anti-gravity batteries, is that you have a longer lifespan of the battery. Because you don't have a lot of the issues that we've talked about, traditionally they will last longer in your motorcycle versus a traditional type battery. We talked about the weight already, but anti-gravity battery that you get for your bike. And by the way, go to their website. They've got all the FAQs, all the technical information. You can look up the specific battery for your motorcycle and find out all the information you need. But getting back to my point, these are so much lighter. I mean, they're just like a feather. So you may say, well, the weight savings on a 400 pound, 500 pound, 200 kilogram motorcycle doesn't really matter that much. But I would argue that every little thing does add up. And when you're saving 4 or 5 pounds just from changing the battery and you get all the other benefits, it's just kind of some nice bonus there that you get that lightweight. The other huge advantage, and this is something that as far as I know only the Anti-Gravity company offers, is if I show you this battery here, there's a little button right here, and this is kind of what's helped make this company so successful. It's called a restart feature. So if you've ever been stranded, as I have and pretty much all my friends have, with a dead battery on your motorcycle because either the battery's old and weak or because you left on an accessory, that's not going to happen anymore with this restart technology. So what the restart technology does, and this has saved my bacon a number of times when I've left stuff on by accident, is that the battery, even if you leave something on, it will cut out, it will shut itself down when it reaches a certain voltage. So it keeps some capacity in reserve at all times. So what happens is if you drain the battery down, your bike won't start, you have no ignition, no starting, you simply press this button and it activates the reserve voltage and you are able to start your bike and right away and charge up the battery. It has saved me more times than I can remember because I did something stupid. And I just can't tell you what a phenomenal and thoughtful feature the restart feature is, because really it means that you don't have to carry jumper cables or one of those battery jump packs any longer, which is really, really nice. Now I know what you're thinking. Maybe the battery on your motorcycle is installed in a place where you're not going to be able to easily reach this button. Well, Anti-Gravity thought of that, and they have a remote control feature for this. So you can plug it, you can hook up a little cable to it, and it's a remote button that you can mount anywhere convenient. So you don't have to take off your seat or any access panels to get to the battery to use the restart feature. 2 thumbs up. That was very thoughtful that they did that. Now, are there any downsides to going to a lithium battery on your motorcycle? Potentially there are some small downsides that you need to consider. One is just that they tend to be more expensive than replacing your battery with a traditional cheaper lead acid type or AGM battery or whatever the case may be. So cost is a factor. Number 2 is that in really, really cold weather, sometimes lithium batteries will need to be what I call woken up. So you will need to apply a little bit of current going through it for 30 seconds or something if it's really cold to get the battery warmed up, to get it to give you its full cranking power. So sometimes, I haven't seen this lately, but when I first started using lithium batteries years ago, and I think they've gotten better, I would have to turn the headlight on my bike for maybe 10-20 seconds to have enough voltage then to start the bike. But I'm talking about temperatures like below freezing, which hopefully you're not riding too much in those conditions. But that sometimes can be a factor, but I find with the modern batteries, I don't find that very much anymore. Another potential downside of doing this is that if you don't ride your bike, all the time, which is the case for a lot of people, depending on where you live in the world, you have to store your bike, or this period you're not riding, you will need a lithium compatible battery charger, battery maintainer. You cannot and should not use a traditional old-fashioned battery charger or maintainer for a lithium battery because the voltage requirements are different. So you will need to upgrade to a newer lithium compatible charger, and Anti-Gravity has you covered with that. I'll link, obviously their website, they've got chargers, they've got jump packs, they've got all the stuff you would need. All right, speaking of other stuff that Anti-Gravity makes, in addition to their wonderful batteries that they have, they also make some cool stuff. So here is a SC4 supercharger. So this is basically a battery charger maintainer and has some other cool functions. And again, I mentioned you want to have a compatible charger, so make sure you do upgrade from those old-fashioned chargers that are not suitable anymore for the lithium batteries because of different voltage requirements. These are the jumpstart packs. And basically portable power supplies. This says personal power supply right here that Anti-Gravity makes. So I've got a few different ones of these, and they're phenomenal because I keep them in my truck, I keep one in my wife's car, when they had the RV, I would always keep one in there. They're handy to have around. So with these power packs, what you can do, and they make all different sizes, even small ones that are good for motorcycles. This is a little bit larger one, if I can get it out of the the little case here. So you can use this to charge cameras, to charge cell phones, to charge anything like that. It's got a flashlight in it. It also, importantly, can be used to jumpstart a vehicle or a motorcycle. So if you don't have the restart feature on your battery in your vehicle, then you may end up needing something like this. It also comes with this multifunction USB charger, some different accessories. So these are great, and I've used these a lot. Like when my lawnmower, my zero-turn mower battery goes dead because I've been neglecting it, I use this. You know, the neighbor's tractor, the neighbor's truck or car, whatever it is, I just keep these in my vehicles and they come in super handy. All right, well, I think that about covers that. I really am grateful that this company, so what happened was I've been using these products for years, and then eventually the company reached out to me and said, hey, we'd like to start sending you batteries, and maybe eventually you can do a video about them. And I said, yeah, they're great, because I'd already, tested the products for years before doing that. So I can really vouch for these things. It's a great company. The people who run it are great. And if you're looking to upgrade your motorcycle battery or battery for your RV or your vehicle, or you need anything else, I would highly recommend checking out Antigravity. They make really, really cool products. And this restart feature, I just can't tell you how useful that has been for me. All right, well, if you have questions, put that down below. Other than that, thanks for watching. Ride safe. I'll see you out there.